Scotland over Russia 61 points to nil. They needed a big shift in terms of the Rugby World Cup campaign, did the Scots, and job done. Absolutely job done. This game may have been that kind of bridge too far game for the Russians. Their captain mentioned it in the aftermatch, the media interview, that they were kind of feeling it, but he also gave credit to the Scots and credit where it's due because they really, that kind of result doesn't just get gifted to you. You have to work for it. And emphatic result for the Scots. It didn't start off all that easy, and the Russians have shown in their previous games that they are able to make life difficult for the other teams. And I don't think there were any stoppages for like the first 5 minutes. Eventually Russia won a penalty, but then from the line out they lost the ball, so it wasn't going either one's way in terms of being able to really get on top early. But didn't take that long. Hastings got the first try on 14 minutes. He would get two and get man of the match because he kicked most of his goals, a lot of them difficult kicks. Just ran the show really well in the absence of Finn Russell. But the first try comes from the back of a scrum in the Russian 22. He gets the ball, does a little dummy, a little shimmy, and he's in over the line. Top stuff, 7-0. He gets another one. Russians knock it on. Graham keeps it in. The ball looks like it's going out, but he keeps it in. And then Hastings kicks it through. Artemiev, the captain for the Russians, the fullback, he's going to clean up the ball and dot it down. He should get there first, but the ball takes a bit of a bounce. He slips over, and Hastings just gets the ball first. So 14-0 Scotland. Horn gets the first of his three tries. That's George rather than Peter. He reads the Russian defensive line out like a champ. The commentary team here anyway said they think maybe that was coached. But either way, it was a perfect read. And their halfback throws the ball. They're looking to clear it to the 10 so he can boot it. And Horn just reads it, grabs it, dots it down. We've seen that happen before. TJ Perenara did that once in Super Rugby. And it's a thing. If the guy can read it, you better look out. So, yeah, it was 21-0 at halftime. So still not quite at that bonus point territory. And you thought, because the trial was 22 minutes, that they should get the bonus point before half-time, but it didn't happen. And I was wondering to myself, how long into the second half before it gets a little bit uncomfortable waiting for that bonus point try to come? Because if it takes too long, then they might start to force it, but it ends up being a non-issue. Half-time stats, run meters are 320 to 92. 320 to 92. Possession 58%, territory 67%, all in the Scots' favour. Tackling for Scotland 98%. They missed one tackle in the first half. That's phenomenal. 51 out of 52 tackles. Not like they only made 10. And Russia 74%, 55 out of 74. So leaking a few points. Second half, the kickoff doesn't go 10 from Kinghorn. And again, I'm wondering how is Scotland going to come out in the second half, but any worries are quickly put to one side as Scotland get a try. Graham gets the line break from a high ball. He passes it to George Horn. It's the right thing to do. And, that's the bonus point try, 28-0. So from there, Scotland can just kind of play. And they do. 50 minutes, 51. Turner gets his try. From the back of a maul, he picked his moment to come off the back. He spun and just went into the space. Over for the try, it's 35-0. Seymour on 55 minutes gets essentially the perfect winger's try. It's Kinghorn who puts the little kick through. The ball's end over end. The bounce is just slightly heading towards the touchline, but it just keeps in. Seymour is just trailing it perfectly. The ball just sits up for him nicely, and he's got perfect hands. Like everything about that try. The weighting of the kick, the way it bounced, his run, his forcing it was just the perfect winger's try. Thing of beauty. That makes it 42-0. George Horn gets his hat-trick try on 58-59 minutes. He just basically ran a good support line, which was something he was doing all evening. And 47-0. 63 minutes, Scotland go 8 phases. Nell gets a line break, and that's a thing of beauty in itself. He gets rid of the ball very quickly. He doesn't know what to do. I mean, he's in space. He just shifts it. There is a defender coming for him, to be fair. But yeah, George Horn looks to have got a fourth try, but they TMO it and say forward pass, so no go there. 68 minutes. Russia get an attacking line out. The throw is not straight. It's just not going right for them in that second half. 72 minutes though, Scotland do the same. Line out attacking, not straight. Before the end of play, Russia actually did run the ball out from their own 22, so they weren't giving up. So you've got to give credit to these guys, even though they got a bit of a hiding in this one. They didn't give up. They ran from their own 22. Eventually they kicked it, which was a bit disappointing. Just keep it in hand, man. It's 70 plus minutes, but they're getting pretty knackered. 74 minutes, Barkley, he's running towards the line. Davidov, the winger, is the only guy left, and that guy missed 7 tackles in this game. He gives him kind of a half-hearted dummy, and Davidov's had enough, which was, I guess, to be expected at that time of the game. 54-0. And then Kinghorn gets a wee break on 78 minutes. Offloads. Eventually the ball gets to McAnally. He's over in the corner. The TMO checks it. At that time when they're checking it, Hastings, who's probably pretty knackered himself, is sitting there stretching himself out just to make sure he's all good. Before the kick, he does kick it 61-0. That's the way it finishes. Hastings almost had a try at the end, but again, that one was TMO'd for a forward pass. But yeah, other points. If you watched the game, you would have heard Wayne Barnes issuing commands as normal. His communication is pretty good with the players, but he was saying "niet" instead of "no" sometimes to the Russian players, which did feel like kind of a bit silly. I mean, I'm sure the Russian guys understand "no." My in-laws don't speak English and they understand "no," so yeah. Anyway, he's putting in an effort. When Artemiev, the captain, came off for Russia, he was clapping the crowd. He was getting not a standing ovation, but he was getting cheered well. One of the team managers or someone went to shake his hand, but he was too busy. So one of those awkward handshake missed moments, always amusing. Final stats though, run meters 864 to 222. Scotland really putting on a show. Tackle percentage for Scotland remained fantastic, 97%. So they made 95 out of 98 tackles. That just doesn't happen, man. For Russia, it was 66%. So they missed about 40 tackles, which shows in the scoreline. Graham had 151 run meters and 8 defenders beaten. Hastings really ran the show. He had 60, I think, plus run meters. It might have been 80. Peter Horn and Turner both had 8 from 8 tackles for Scotland, so they weren't having to make that much defensive effort, but when they did, their guys were on song. Jivitov for Russia had 13 out of 15, so while some of them did miss a few, some of the guys were still really putting in that top shift. So, yeah, 61-0. Bring on the game against Japan. I thought Scotland did manage their substitutes pretty well, too, to try and keep the minutes relatively managed, so they're going to have as many fresh players for that next one as possible. But yeah, you guys let me know your thoughts on that one, and we'll talk to you again soon. See you later.